guys? Hey, welcome back to another awesome video, and it's time for another top 10 video. And for today's top 10 list, it's gonna be kind of a bit of a different situation. So I was gonna originally have this be a top 20 list, but I decided just to split this into two parts so that way it's a little bit easier for many reasons for both me and you guys. So for part one of today's top 10 list is gonna be the top 10 actors. So for this list is gonna be part one of my favorite actors of all time, and I will unfortunately be excluding some actresses because they deserve their own list. So this is gonna be part one of my top 10 favorite actors, and then part two will be out who knows when. I still have to figure out that part. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into why these actors are my favorite actors of all time. Part one. So, at number 10, we have Johnny Depp. So, from his famous roles from Nightmare on Elm Street, to Black Mass, to Fear and Loathing, to his iconic movie that is both Edward Scissorhands and his infamous Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp is a good actor and he's a great actor. And I know it's kind of a hard subject to talk about him right now, and I just feel bad for the guy. I honestly, truthfully do. I feel bad for him. That's really, I'm gonna really touch upon. And I know it's kind of a little bit weird to talk about him, and kind of promote him and basically say like he's a good guy to some people, but honestly, I feel bad for him. Plus, he really, truthfully is a great actor when it comes to it. When he does do his roles, he's really good at them. And like I said, I just feel bad for the guy. And then hopefully just things will work out for you, Johnny. That's all I can really say. At number 9 is Arnold Schwarzenegger. The reason why I just love this guy is just because of how many great 80s action icons and movies and sci-fi films he's done. From Terminator to Predator. He's done it all. He's done the physicality, Conan the Barbarian, Commando, even movies like Eraser are pretty fantastic. And he's just got a good range in them. Total Recall, Kindergarten Cop. He knows how to do both the action and the one-liners and things like even like Last Action Hero. He knows how to do those action films, and he knows how to do comedy here and there. I will give him credit for Kindergarten Cop. I won't give him credit for I don't know if I'll give him credit for Jingle All the Way, but I won't give him credit on Batman and Robin. But let's not talk about Batman and Robin, okay? But honestly, people loathe about him a lot, and his career hasn't really been the strongest. But I still say and support him on all his predecessors before his career now, because let's face it, there's not been the best of him as of lately. But I will still say he's a great actor. He's just been one of my favorites for a while. At number 8 is James Earl Jones. Who could not know this irrecognizable voice, that deep baritone voice, and just that gravitas that James Earl Jones does with his roles, from just things like Coming to America to even The Lion King. But I think obviously his most iconic is when he was Darth Vader. I mean, this guy was my favorite. This guy made my all-time favorite movie villain come to life, and if it weren't for him, I think that'd be just another layer of what adds to Darth Vader's character and what makes me like the character even more. So if James Earl Jones wasn't Vader, he'd still be a good villain, but he just wouldn't be as great as he is with that gravitas, and especially with how James Earl Jones is such a great actor. He brings some really strong, deep things too, and then with especially his background in Broadway and doing some really serious monologues and dialogues, and he's just phenomenal. At number 7 is Sylvester Stallone. From Rocky to Rambo to Demolition Man and The Expendables. I can go on and on about Sylvester Stallone. As much as I like Arnold Schwarzenegger, there's something about Sylvester Stallone I like more. Sure, both these actors can bring the one-liners and bring all sorts of iconic, epic 80s, 90s things in pop culture and everything, but I feel I like what Sylvester Stallone does more than Schwarzenegger, not that I favorite Stallone over Schwarzenegger, is just that, I don't know if it's the realism, but the realism and the emotional roles that he puts into his character. Like, even if you look at something like sure, he was great in the first Rocky movies and everything, but then you look at like some of his dialogue and some of his the writing and his speeches in like something like Rocky Balboa, when he's delivering that not everything is rainbow and sunshine sort of like basically monologue and speech, is powerful. It's strong. He knows how to really do that sort of shit, and it's really great of him to do. And plus, he's just got a lot under. He's got, like Schwarzenegger, he's got a lot under his repertoire. He's done a bit of comedy. He's done a bit of action, sci-fi, you name it. He's done it all before. He's definitely has that physicality that he's pulled it off many times. And yeah, just like Schwarzenegger, Stallone has had some bumps in the road. However, he just knows how to get back up, and I think that stays true to who he is, and especially he definitely feels like he resonates with Rocky. He can take all these hits in the world and still manage to get back up. At number 6 is Michael Keaton. I've talked about Michael Keaton before, maybe once or twice, maybe 3 times, depending on how many reviews I've done about the guy, but I really like Michael Keaton just because of how not only has he done some really crazy roles and he's done some really fun performances, but like you look at some, like obviously his comedies like Mr. Mom, Multiplicity. I will still say one of my favorites is Beetlejuice in terms of his performance and his characters. But in a way, not only that, and there's also other like more, I guess, groundbreaking roles like Birdman, and not a groundbreaking role, but I think he definitely was fantastic and captivating as Vulture. But also, if it weren't for Keaton, we wouldn't have the Dark Knight trilogy. We wouldn't have all these dark, like, tellings of Batman. Like, this guy brought Batman to life. Nothing against Adam West, because I love the cheesy Adam West camp. But Burton and Keaton brought Batman to life. They brought the Dark Knight to life that now we see with Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, with the Dark Knight trilogy, with Pattinson's Batman, with Ben Affleck's Batman. If it weren't for Keaton, we wouldn't have these Batmen, and we wouldn't have these great Batman stories and comics where now Batman is a grounded, dark character. So if it weren't for Keaton, we wouldn't have the Batman that we now know and love. Alright, we're nearing down on my final 5 of my list. And at number 5 of my list is Keanu Reeves! Cause why not? Sure, it's the Keanu-sans, but honestly, I really like the actor. And not only because of The Matrix, because The Matrix was the first thing that got me into liking Keanu Reeves, but everything else after him that I've watched follows why I like Keanu Reeves more. From Speed, to Point Break, to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, to Bogus Journey, to Devil's Advocate, to the John Wick movies, to everything along those lines of what makes Keanu Reeves Keanu Reeves. Hell, I'll say Constantine is one of the movies that made me like Keanu Reeves for who he is and as an actor. And like I said, it's the Keanu-sans. And it was the Keanu-sans during the 80s and the 90s. It's still the Keanu-sans now with his comedies that he's doing on Netflix, his supporting roles and everything. And plus, we're gonna have him in Cyberpunk. So it's great to see Keanu Reeves come back and see him just do his Keanu thing. At number 4 is Hugh Jackman. Now, I've always liked Hugh Jackman for his other performances like Prisoners, The Prestige. I like his musical like background he has, from Les Mis to The Greatest Showman. I know people hate The Greatest Showman. I love The Greatest Showman. Okay, maybe it's because I'm a theater person. I've been into musicals for quite a bit, but I really love The Greatest Showman. Okay, so don't at me, don't hate me, sort of thing. But the one thing that really makes me like Hugh Jackman and what got me into really not being inspired to. Not inspired, but what makes Hugh Jackman my favorite actor, or one of my favorite actors, is definitely, obviously, without a shadow of a doubt, Wolverine. And how long he's played the character. Like, he's played it for quite a while, almost a decade. Like, if he was still going as Wolverine by this year, it would have been probably another 2 decades. He's been playing it for a decade, almost 2. It's crazy how long he's played this character. It'd be great to see him come back and still keep it going, but however, I think with where the MCU's heading with Wolverine and recasting, definitely Logan was the perfect sign-off for Hugh Jackman as his character. From all the X-Men movies to the spin-off films, it just all came up to Logan and just how fantastic he's been at the character. No one else could take Jackman's place. However, there obviously are candidates, but he will always be Wolverine to many people and myself. I'm not disputing anyone else that takes the mantle of Wolverine and takes those adamantium claws, but however, Hugh Jackman will still be Wolverine to me all the way. At number 3 is Robert Downey Jr. Another actor of mine that's I do like his stuff outside of his main role, like Sherlock Holmes. I will give him credit for. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is another performance I really like from him. But the role that really sends it to me and really gives it to me and really makes me say Robert Downey Jr. is my favorite actor, even though it's just this one performance, it is Iron Man. And I think, sure, you can say, like, oh, that's kind of, like, not being fair. But here's the thing, what Jackman and Downey Jr. both share, is that they were able to make this one performance, this one character, captivating, groundbreaking, whatever you want to call it, stellar, however you want to put it, amazing, spectacular. You can find all the great praise in the world about these actors because of that one performance. And that one performance alone blows people away. Like, no one would have thought the idea of Robert Downey Jr. being Iron Man, because at the time, before 2008, he had a rough start in his career. Like, sure, he had some good movies, but he did not the best. But Iron Man is what saved his career, and that's also the great thing about him being Iron Man and him being such a great actor and how long he's played the character. How long you get to play this character for, basically, he got to play this character for almost 2 years, Robert Downey Jr. Almost close, if not longer, than Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. What I'm making is they've been at their craft for so long playing this character, and Downey Jr. definitely applies to that. And just how well Robert Downey Jr. did Iron Man, and he is Iron Man. So if they were to replace him, it would just be heartbreaking. And especially if they try and bring back Iron Man, it'd just be really hard to do. And obviously with that sacrifice and just that whole big wrap up is just perfect. It's a bow right there. Downey Jr. all the way. At number 2 is Jim Carrey. I've always liked Jim Carrey all my life for many things. I think he's just always been one of my favorite comedic actors, and he's always been one of my favorite actors of all time. I like the crazy humor he's had and just the cartoonish characters that he's played within his time, from Ace Ventura to The Mask, Dumber and Dumber. Heck, I'll give it to him on Riddler. Sure, it wasn't his best performance, and some people don't like Batman Forever, but Batman Forever was kind of like a guilty pleasure for me. Anyways, but I will give it to him on The Riddler, and there are other performances that he's done. And the thing with comedic actors is I like what they can do is that they don't stick to just comedy. Like, people expect them to be like, oh, we expect these guys to be the funny man. But it's great to see comedic actors like Carrey then pull off something like The Eternal Sunshine and the Spotless Mind. Like something that serious and that, I guess, different of a tone, like a more serious tone. See them do a dramatic performance. It always blows me away, and I'm always just profound and just astonished that a comedic actor can whether save his career or do something totally different and blow us away and still be as fantastic. Show his range. Carrey shows his range when he does his... He definitely shows his range when he does his cartoonish characters. However, he knows how to really bring it together when he can... It's really fantastic when you can see a comedic actor do both the comedy and the drama. But before I unveil my number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, it's Sam motherfucking Jackson. And I hope I don't get, like, basically demonetized or anything like that for this. But seriously, the dude's a great actor. Sure, it's because he's Sam Jackson. But seriously, though, he is a good actor from things like Pulp Fiction to, obviously, the MCU and everything else you can probably think of. Snakes on a Plane, you name it, he's done it all. Robert De Niro. I don't talk a lot about De Niro, but De Niro is definitely a great actor, especially when you have things like Goodfellas and you have things like King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. Like, just enough said right there. Jack Nicholson. From Jack Napier to Jack Torrance, Jack Nicholson knows how to play the crazy, that's for sure. Joaquin Phoenix. Now, Joaquin Phoenix was definitely a great actor before Joker, and with things like obviously Walk the Line and Her, those being phenomenal movies that he's done. But definitely now with Joker, he is transcending. And now, my number one pick of my top 10 favorite actors is, drumroll please, Robin Williams. Now, Robin was and always will be known for his comedic, spontaneous, improv roles. And that's the thing with Robin, is that he knows how to kind of do the spontaneous and the improvise, and just, he was such great magic and great energy he adds to his characters with his comedy. Sure, Carrie adds energy, but nothing compared to Robin Williams with movies like Mrs. Doubtfire, with obviously the Genie from Aladdin, and so many other comedic roles he's done before. It's a different type of wonder that he's brought, and the talent that he brings to it too. There always has and always will be something about Robin Williams. And like I said, with Carrie, I'm going to apply to Robin, is that he knew how to deal with the great comedies and really knew how to do all that. But I feel Williams definitely handled the dramatic performances way better. When you look at things like, you look at Awakenings, Insomnia, Good Will Hunting, those were like almost Oscar-nominated, Oscar-worthy performances from Robin Williams. Even something like 1 Hour Photo, that you would not expect a comedian, funny man like Robin Williams to do, but it was such a psychological thriller or something dark that he did. And even something like Good Will Hunting, going back to Good Will Hunting, no one would have thought that comedian, Mr. Funny Guy, Robin Williams, would do something like Good Will Hunting. And he just brings everyone to tears with that infamous "It's Not Your Fault" scene. He was great at his stand-up career, and obviously from his previous time as Mork from Mork and Mindy, of course. And I feel with Robin's comedy and his dramatic performances, he definitely borrowed from his life, one way or another, whether it was his personal life or whatever is going on in his head. He definitely borrowed from that. He was just, there'll be no other person like Robin Williams. There will never be anyone like him. And it was hard to really hear when he passed away and how he passed away. I don't want to say how he passed away on here, but it was just hard to hear, because you would never expect such a lovable guy, such a phenomenal actor. You wouldn't expect someone who is as funny as he was to be so drowned in depression and dealing with such mental issues in his head too. And the guy just knew how to make people laugh and how to put a smile on their face. And it was true, really. And like I said, it was hard to hear when he died back in 2014, and it's still upsetting now of how long we've lost him, and just how much he's probably up in heaven, cracking jokes, doing stand-up to God, making God laugh his socks off. But honestly, I hope he's doing that now. And I love how inspirational he has been to many people of the world, and just his comedy has really still left an impact on cinema as a whole. And he's given us just really great quotes and inspirational quotes. And one of my favorites is the whole, if you're given a spark of madness or a spark of insanity, you mustn't lose it, or you're nothing. And Robin had that great spark of insanity, or that great spark of madness that made him such a funny guy. And I can't stress that out enough. And not only that, but it also, and with that insanity, made him such a great actor. And I can't stress that enough either. And with him, he was such a hero. And he's not only just a hero, but he is a legend. And legends will never die. And I'll always quote that from Sandlot. But those are my favorite actors of part 1. Let me know in the comments who are your favorite actors. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please smash the like button. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I do awesome videos every day, if not every week. And make sure you ring that bell to be notified of new videos I do every day, if not every week. Share the video with your family, friends, all that good stuff. And let me know in the comments some suggestions. I'll do reviews, top 10s, gaming, Q&As, vlogs, awesome news, comic reviews, all that stuff, you name it, I'll look into it as soon as possible and as soon as I can. So, and I'm going to try and do the best I can in working all these videos on my channel. So I'm going to try and put these out as much as I can. And I appreciate you guys' support throughout this whole situation. So it's definitely going to be quite a juggle because of work and me just dealing with stuff personally. So thank you so much for that. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.
I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be.